everyone, welcome back to the MindFull Podcast. And as you can tell today, I'm in a completely different location to where I normally am because Joe brought the idea to the table. Absolute scouser. No, but today we have got on Tracey Roberts. Tracey is the CEO of the J. Roberts Project. What we talk about today is the J. Roberts Project, suicide prevention, the story of Jade, Tracey's own trauma, resilience and bouncing back, and then the next steps for the J. Roberts Project. All of us agreed that this episode today was absolutely special. It was a really, really good. Tracey was fantastic. Her son Jack, that was sat in the background, he jumped on a lot of times with some questions. He was brilliant as well. It's a fantastic episode. It's got a really good meaning behind it. A lot of knowledge to take away from it as well. So if you do know anyone that is struggling with any mental health, anything along them lines, I'd definitely say forward this on to them because it could save a life. So please enjoy this episode and we will be back later. Bye now. They both on, both red. Jay, we're recording, lad. Last week when we recorded Paul's, Jay got like 45 minutes in. He went, we should be saying all this on the podcast, you know? And we was like, Jay, we've been recording for nearly an hour. He's like, what? Have we? What? Yeah, it was funny.
I was like, why should I eat bad or because away that we record?
Yeah. Hang on, I'll just tighten this. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Remember, it's just a conversation. It's not an interview or whatever. It's just a group of people talking about a matter and a cause. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Ready? Yeah. Trace, how are you today?
I'm really glad to be here today.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you for asking me to come along to do this podcast because I feel like it's really important that I get my message out there and let people know about my story as well. And it's also about giving people hope.
Yeah.
I do feel a little bit emotional, but it's important that I get me story out there.
Yeah. And like from when we met was maybe like what? A month ago?
Yeah.
A month ago, I just came in to the project, just down in Tuebrook, popped in, and you probably thought, who's this random man walking in? I was saying, oh, I've met his father and all that. He hasn't really. But we sat down for like, what, an hour? I said I was only going to pop in for about 5 or 10 minutes and just like, so we can just maybe sort out the podcast. And we was there for a good time. Obviously, I met Jack. What a guy. He's just such a good lad.
He certainly
Shout
is.
out to Jack.
He certainly is.
Yeah. But it was a good chat as well. It was a really good chat and it surprised me. Especially when you told me your age. I was like, no, he's 30. He's got to be at least 30. No.
Everyone says that.
I'm 30 old, but I'm only 20.
Yeah.
Very inspirational. Very motivational.
Exactly. it was mental. But even that day, like the story that you told me, that Jack was telling me, that Dan was also telling me as well, it was definitely something that we want to hear on this podcast. Obviously myself and the lads that do it. It's a story that does need to be shared, but also the work that you're doing as well.
Yeah.
The work that you're doing is just out of this world. It is brilliant, and obviously you know that deep down. Yeah. So just tell us a little bit, so we'll just get a little bit into the flow of what is it that your work is for people that don't know about it.
So I'm the founder of the J. Roberts Project. So we're based in Tuebrook on Rocky Lane. We're a mental health and suicide prevention organisation. We've been open 17 months now. And what we do with the project, like I said, I'm the founder. And what we do with the project is adults 18 and over who are thinking of suicide. We support them because we offer life-saving interventions at the project. All the team are trained up in the assist, and you can't get any higher than that in suicide prevention training. It's applied suicide intervention skills training. And I remember when I started doing research because I knew nothing about suicide. And I went to my first suicide prevention conference. I remember sitting there and I learned a lot about suicide prevention. And that's when I came across the assist then. So I then went on the assist for 2 days. It's the best training I've ever had because it saves people's lives. And this is the framework that we use in the project. So anyone who is thinking of suicide, we'll keep them safe from suicide.
What is the stuff that you did learn? And so what is it that would be able to make someone go, this is the place that I need to go because they're the people that can help me? What have you learned across your journey with the assist, with the training, that's been able to put you in a position and goes, no, we will help you. We are the people to do that.
Okay. So with the assist, like I said before, it's the gold standard. It comes from Living Works. And it's the highest you can get in suicide prevention training. And what I learned in the assist is I learned so much, but most importantly, that when you recognise invitations that someone that could be thinking about suicide, the invitations could be if someone says to you, I feel like I'm a burden, I don't want to be here anymore, I've got no purpose. Alcohol and drug misuse is another factor as well, is another invitation. And what I learned is that when you're aware of the invitations, you ask that question openly and directly. So when we've got a client in front of us, we will say to them, are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking of taking your own life? And that person will say yes. And what we do then is, because we're all assist trained, we'll ask that person what their plan is. What is your plan? When are you planning to do it? So they'll tell us what their plan is. And what we do as assist caregivers is we'll say to the client, can we put a safety plan in place just for now to keep you safe from suicide? And we will disable that plan straight away to keep them safe from suicide. Every intervention we do or have done at the project is different, So we will disable that plan and then we'll put a safety plan in place. We'll get the family involved in that plan to keep them safe from suicide. Now that's intervention. So that's suicide. These are the interventions that we use in the project. So once that person is no longer in crisis and we've put a safety plan in place, we've disabled that plan, we then move on to prevention, which is our counselling service. Because it's about the client working through them issues that have got them to crisis point. Like I said, there's a lot of women coming through into the project. Domestic violence is a huge factor for a lot of the women that are coming through. Ketamine, a lot of clients are using ketamine. So I've linked in with, some drug and alcohol organisations. So they'll support the clients with the drug and alcohol dependency, and then we'll work with the underlying issues.
Because when we first spoke, you said, didn't you, that you were surprised how many people came in that were women? Because obviously there is a stigma of men not being able to talk, men and mental health. But when you were saying that, it was a lot of women coming in. And obviously the area that we're in, like we've said, it can be a very deprived area, depending on how you want to look at it. Has there always been a high number of women coming in, or was it just like a period at the time where a high number of women was coming through the door? Or has it just been like just consistent going through?
Right, okay. So I'm glad you've asked me that question, because when we first opened, the logo was a butterfly and we were quite pink. So I think one of the reasons why we were getting so many women coming through was because I think men were thinking, is this just an organisation for women? If that makes sense, because we were quite pink. And I think another reason why we were getting so many women, because I remember sitting there 6 months after opening the organisation thinking, there's so many women coming. The men were coming through slowly, but it was a lot more women. And I think another reason why the women were coming through was because we're the only organisation in Liverpool that supports women who are in suicidal crisis. You've got organisations, you've got James Place, you've got Sean's Place, and they all work with men. But there's nowhere in Liverpool that work with women who are in suicidal crisis. And that was one of the reasons, again, why we were getting so many women coming through. Like what you said before, we had a relaunch last year on Jade's birthday, Jade's birthday was the 7th of August, and we had a relaunch. So what we've done now is we've changed our logo. So, which I'll talk about that a bit later on. We've changed our logo to TED, and we're a lot more neutral now. So since last year, when we had the relaunch, we're getting a lot more men coming through now as well. The men are starting to come through.
Yeah.
I'd say it's still more women, but the men are starting to come in, and because it is all about break. Because I've got a sign at the side of my shop saying it's okay not to be okay, and to end the stigma, because that's what we need to. That's what we're hoping to do with the project, to end the stigma.
Yeah. So like I said before, and obviously everyone says that there's a stigma around men. So this is going to be an open question, so anyone can answer. With there being a stigma around men and men don't talk, so they say that men end up taking their own lives or they die by suicide. Is there a stigma around women that they've got it all cushy in a sense, where they can just go around to their friends and have a cup of tea or go for a gab and they're okay after it? So I don't really know how to word it, but is there a stigma around women that they're fine when it comes to anything to do with suicide or anything along them lines, where they can just be open and honest to talk to their friends and everything just gets fixed in that sense? Go ahead, Jack.
Just adding on to what you've just said then about stigmas, you know, when it comes to women, I feel as if a lot of them can go round to the friends and have a little gab and stuff like that. But what we've noticed at the project is that some women don't have friends to go round the gab with. Some deal with loneliness. Some people are very isolated, have no one to talk to. So where does the stigma lie then when the girls are isolated with no friends? You know, with men, what I've loved seeing at the project as well is men around 20 to 30s of age are starting to come in now. And it's just great to see, as I'm a young man myself, and the stigma is surely but surely getting dropped day by day, because the men who were just the lads, go to the match, watch the football, all that type of stuff are coming in, because mental health and suicide is at an all-time high, and it's time for people now to get the support that they need, and the project is where it's at. And that's why Tracey Roberts is here today, to show everyone that the Jade Roberts project is the best in the whole of the city.
Well said. So I love this lad, you know, he is good. He is. Were you saying that about, like, obviously, I know we've spoken about women, but you said, like, men just go to the football, or, like, lads just... Is there any other ways that men are able to do it, instead of just going to talk to someone? So, I don't know, because obviously it's such a sensitive topic, isn't it? Like, we'll go to the football, we can go to the pub together, we can jump on the game. Like that, it's like a sign of therapy for a lot of lads. You can go to the gym, or you can just go around and have something to eat. But do you offer or give any advice of, like, what tactics would be good for men and women that would be good for them in their day-to-day lives?
See, I think as well, what I've come to realise, like I said, there's a lot of men coming through. Men really don't talk about how they're really feeling. They just don't say, I'm having a shit day. I'm not coping today. They just don't say it. Like what you said before with women. I know what Jack said before. You know, some women, because loneliness is a huge factor when it comes to suicide. But men, I think because of the stigma, it's like they have this persona. I need to be strong. You know, because I'll talk a bit later again, I'm a safe talk trainer now. I deliver suicide prevention training, and it's about recognising them invitations to then ask that question, you know, because, you know, are you thinking of suicide? But men,
Have an ego, don't they?
it's like, you know...
Very egotistical
We bottle
men.
things up and put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
And that's just the way we carry things, I feel like, and it adds to the weight.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever heard of the Coke bottle analogy?
No.
No,
What is
so
it?
you just get a Coke. So imagine you got a Coke bottle in your hand, but you keep it shut and you keep shaking and shaking and shaking it. Obviously, the gas inside of it, it's going to build up pressure. And if you keep doing it, the pressure's going to become too much for the bottle to contain, and the lid's going to have to pop off.
Now I call that a
That's
stress
what
bucket.
A stress bucket, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've said that, because when
Yeah.
I'm working with clients, I call it a stress bucket. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all the stresses are going in, as if like a stress bucket could be relationship problems with alcohol and drugs, loneliness, and like what you've just said then, and then the bucket overflows then. Where then I feel that when that bucket overflows, that person ends up going into crisis.
Yeah.
Because the bucket overflows, if that makes sense. And that's where, when men come into the project, I explain to them about that stress bucket, and then it's about talking about them issues, rather than sort of like not talking about them, because I feel that's how they go into crisis then.
Yeah. Because I've thought about this a couple of times, and obviously that's another open thing, so everyone thinks I'm wrong. Just correct me, I won't take any offence. With men, we want to be fixers, don't we? That's our thing. It's in our nature. Even if we're not the best at it, like we want to be able to help or we want to be able to fix things. When it comes to men and their own problems, they're going to want to try and be able to fix it by themselves. So do you reckon that the crisis comes and the panic happens when they don't know how to fix it? Because, for instance, and I'll bring it right down, I think when we was looking to build this studio, and we've got a friend called Reese, and his dad at the time was building like sheds. So I said to my dad, who was like a handyman, oh, what if we get Reese's dad to come round and he can maybe give us a hand with it? And my dad's like, no, my shed, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be able to do. As you can see, he's done it.
Yeah.
But it's like, we had a bit of an issue there, but the man wanted to fix it. So if a man's going through his own problems in his head and he can't fix it, do you reckon that's where we're struggling then to be able to branch out? Because
Most definitely.
I'm not having a man tell me what to do. And
That's good the way you've said that, you know.
yeah, it's all lad. I've got a roll to my hand there.
And do you know what? Do you know what as well? Because I feel that with men, that they are suffering in silence, in their own silence, because they won't let anyone in, not even the wife. They're chill, you know.
All what you just saying, right? But like,
Go ahead.
when you think about it, you don't really hear women talking about mental health. Like, there's a lot for men nowadays, but like, even you coming on today, I'm kind of like shocked because I don't really hear about women like and mental health. Like, there's never.
And that's what I'm saying
There's
about.
never really been a conversation that's been like.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
And
So,
that's what I was trying to say before, like about the stigma. Like, is there a stigma around women that they don't need help because they've got the friends to go around to? But then Jack's saying that a lot of women that they've come across have got mental health problems because they are lonely. They've got no one to talk to. But in society, just as like what the one answer would be is, no, they're fine. They've got all the mates. They talk about it. They can go around for a cup of tea and they'll just sit there and just do this for hours upon end and they'll leave all happy. Pardon me. But like Jack said, it's not the case for everyone. So
I like what you've just said there. The women, the amount of women who are coming through, and it's 18, they're young as 18, and they've already attempted suicide. They've already, some of the clients have had 3 or 4 attempts. You know, when someone's had an attempt, they're very high risk that they could do it again.
yeah.
But it is a lot. You know, I'm obviously working with a male client at the moment, and he's very high risk. But the amount of women who are struggling is huge, honestly. And that's why our organisation is so important, really important.
So when a woman comes here, is it like the same kind of issues as what a man's kind of going through mentally, or is it like completely different? Or is that like subjective kind of thing?
Domestic violence.
Yeah.
I've been able to identify that, I think, with most of the women. You know, domestic violence is huge.
Yeah.
Because especially if someone has been in a domestic violence relationship, they feel stuck. They feel like, you know, they don't want to be here anymore. So domestic violence is huge. I think when we're doing or when we're working with someone who has attempted suicide or is thinking of suicide, there can be more than one factor. You know, domestic violence, like I said, ketamine, is quite huge now as well. Loneliness is another factor. So it's different for each person.
Yeah.
But domestic violence, definitely for women.
One thing just to add on that as well is you've mentioned then, you've pinpointed about women with domestic violence. So what would you say the men mostly bring in? So the women's got domestic violence mostly. What would you say the men problems would normally be if you could pinpoint the men's?
Okay, so again, every factor is different. Cocaine is a huge factor. Because if someone's already got mental health issues and they're using drugs, it's just going to multiply. They're going to feel worse. So, like what Jack just said, cocaine, loneliness. Another one as well is financial.
I was waiting for that one.
Because for a man, you know, I've worked with many men have been sat in front of me, and it must be like a man's thing, you know, and if they haven't got any money or they're struggling financially, their self-worth and self-esteem is going to be on the floor because they then feel that they can't provide for their family. So financial is huge for men, I think, more than, I mean, of course, for women as well, but because it's a man's thing, you know, I need to provide for my family. So I'd say financial as well.
A lot of stuff that like we're talking about at the minute, it seems to be things that have just stemmed from years and years ago of how men and women were. So men were the providers back in the day, but becoming to more, I'm not saying it is, but becoming more of an equal world now where you could be in a relationship with a woman nowadays and she could provide everything because she's in a better career than you. Yeah. But we still have this stemmed in us. Like, we're all young. Like, Jack is the youngest in the room, but he could also be in the exact same position of where a 50 or 60-year-old man could be, and it's completely different generations. So, can we change that, do you think? Like,
I think we can.
Yeah? Yeah?
100%.
Yeah.
We're in a generation now where, you know, it's completely different to 20, 30 years ago. Like you just said, equality, you know. You're in a relationship, the woman could provide more than the man. And like, that's how it is in some relationships. So I feel as if now, what you just said, perfect, it's coming past this, like, the stigma of, like, I've got to provide. Because now it's like, the woman could have a better job than you, and unfortunately she's paying your bills.
It's not unfortunate.
Do you know what's just come to me?
Pay me bills, love, pay for me chippy.
Do you know what's just come to me as well? Another one is gambling addiction.
Yeah.
That's huge as well.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah. Because men and women.
Women?
Yeah. Because I had some training done.
Open up on the women with the gambling, please.
I had some training done when we first opened the organisation, and it was from GamCare. Because there's a lot of stigma for women and gambling. And again, we need to break that stigma because people automatically stereotype men as being, they're the ones who are the gamblers, but it's women as well. Yeah.
What do women gamble? I can't imagine a woman making a 20-fold on the acca for the footy on the Saturday afternoon. So what is it that women are betting on?
Right. The bingo can be.
Really?
Yeah. And that can be as simple as getting addicted to the bingo and going in, using the fruit machines. So
Scratch cards, maybe?
Or the scratch cards
Yeah.
as
I
well.
see that in the shop all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buying scratch cards.
you do.
Yeah.
You're wasting your money.
Yeah. Me mum buys scratch cards as well from time to time. Don't know if she still does, like, but
gambling's huge as well. That's another factor as well. Because they feel stuck then, because they feel like they can't tell anyone that they've lost all the money and that they haven't got
chasing it.
Chasing it.
that
That's
win.
right.
100%.
Yeah.
Hoping that they're going to get that win, so you can probably pay something off. That's a burden on the life anyway. You know?
Do you know what sounds like a big factor for both men and women? It's the expectations we have of ourselves and the people in our lives. Like, we expect a lot, don't we? And it puts pressure on both men and women to be something, or you've got to be this way, and that doesn't help, does it?
Yeah.
No.
A question for yourself then, to follow on from Jay's. We speak about social media a lot on here because we do feel like it can bring good, like obviously if you use it in the right way. Like Joe started his own business through social media and it's going really well. But there is a detrimental impact. Do you reckon social media is playing a big factor in the world of mental health? Were you saying like girls coming into it at 18, their life has been on a screen for most of the time?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Social media, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I feel that as well, that bullying can take place on social media. You know, people sort of saying you're this, you haven't got this and all that. And that can impact on someone's self-worth, self-esteem. So I think social media is huge.
Yeah.
Because people are just constantly on the phones. I mean, can you imagine someone taking your phone off you for half an hour? You're going to go into like having a panic attack and thinking, where's my phone gone? Because people are so used to sitting there with our phones. But yeah, most definitely social media, because it's all about, like what you said before, it is about expectations. You know, people, well, you've got this and I haven't got that, and
people only show the best on there, don't they? They don't show the worst.
Yeah, you put your highlights of your life up,
and then you're comparing your low moments to someone's highlight reel, and it's just do you know what I mean? It's like,
I'm gonna throw a little spanner in the works here. So a lot of social media is highlight reels, you know, but we're all fully aware of that. But there is some social media platforms out there that do, like there's women and men who cry on social media platforms and stuff, you know, stuff like that. So that's not really a highlight, is it? That's a low moment. So that's really, it's conflicting as well, because a lot of it is highlights. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm on holiday. But then some people will go on TikTok and cry and then show everyone, look, this is the pain I'm in. Like, come on, let's do this together. Let's fight this together. So I've actually seen it firsthand. But social media is just all it's just all a fix, really, to be honest with you. You know, everyone's in competition. If you're like, there's women who might be overweight and might look at someone in a bikini and go, oh God, I feel so bad about myself. And then that'll ruin the whole day by seeing someone who's in a better shape than them. So that's my thought on social media.
Yeah. And there's never going to be a definitive answer on social media, because someone will always have one argument to go against yours. Yeah.
So you could say, like, the message that we're trying to give out today. This is social media. So look at the platform that we're trying to provide. So it does all link in. Perspective.
It comes down to how you're using it, innit? You're either using it to motivate you.
Because in a sense, it's a type of society, type of community that you go into. And people are the exact same. Depending on what people of the community or society you're going to, depends how you're going to look out in life and what you're going to act. It's the same with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or whatever. If you're in a football community or whatever, then that's where you're just going to be driven by football. You might get into the arguments and that, but if you're in a negative world where you're in seeing the types of things that aren't good for you mentally, then it's not going to have a good impact on you, because someone's going to go, oh, that social media's ruined your life, but it's been labelled, it's social media. No, it's that aspect of social media that you're using.
Can I just say as well, something's just come to me then about social media. What's really important, you can see someone, you may see someone who looks really sad or withdrawn, and you can see someone who looks really happy. They've got their makeup done, they've had their hair done, they've had their teeth done, but those both people are suicidal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Both people are thinking of suicide.
The biggest one I always think of was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Like the man that made everyone else laugh, but he was still suicidal himself.
Yeah.
That was like my biggest celebrity death. I still can't get over that. But you can bring so much joy to the world, and no one could have a clue, like, what's going on. And that's like the sad part about it. And I always remember I wanted to write a book after I went through like my mental health stages. I wanted to call it the world's biggest silent killer or something like that, because you never know about it. And my dad was like, maybe think of a bit of a different title. He probably was right at the time, but you never know, do you? No. You never know what's going on. So, for instance, I won't give too much detail, but I've had a really tough time in work as of late, and there's a child that we've been having to deal with. He's been going into crisis a lot. Now, we can't pinpoint why he's going to them extremes, but it's one of them, you deal with him every single day, but you don't know what's going on in his head, even if you can tell by the actions. But then you could be talking to someone, for another child that I work with, and he's great all the time, he's funny, you can have a conversation with him about anything, he's just a joy to be around. But then you hear when he goes home and he lashes out and he's arguing. And it's like how people hide different things. But at the end of the day, you never know what's going on inside someone's head. It's
like I always say, you can see a broken leg, but you can't see what's going on in someone's mind. You just can't see it.
Yeah. I always remember saying, we're always not excited, but we're always like waiting to show off like an injury. So, for instance, someone's got a big cut or whatever, said this like an older podcast, someone has a big cut and they go, oh mate, look at that, like I need to go and get that sorted out, don't I? But if you're struggling in your head mentally, it's not in a sense you want to call it an injury, it's just a mental injury. But no one wants to talk about it. everyone would just push it away,
Why
tuck it down.
do you think though people don't want to talk? What is it?
They don't know what to say. I
Just-
don't think they know how, say if a conversation comes at you, so if I say, for example, this is all fictionary, if I go to a friend, so I'm having a bad day here today, mate, things are going a bit tough at work, this is all just a scenario that I'm making up. My friend just works a normal job, doesn't really speak to many people, just keep himself to himself, and I go, look, I'm having a bad day here. All right, you lads, I hope it gets better for you. You know, you're not exploring the conversation there. Just giving full words. I hope things get better for you.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to speak about it. There's such a stigma. Mental health, suicide. Let's dive into it. Let's cry together. Let's talk for an hour. I'm here for you. This is what it needs to be like, and that's what I'm like with my friends.
Yeah.
And
People don't know what to say.
I think as well, what's important and what I've learned is, you know, asking that person, how are you? If they say I'm okay,
Ask it again.
ask them again.
Yeah.
You know, ask them again.
Yeah.
You know, ask them again. Ask them, and then they'll hopefully say, I'm not okay. You know, I'm not okay, I'm struggling. You know, it's important to ask that person because you don't know, you know, like what you just said before. I think it is a silent killer, suicide. So it is a silent killer. But like I always say now, because I'm so passionate about suicide prevention, out of all the deaths, suicide can be prevented. And I always say suicide prevention is everyone's business. Everyone's business. You don't have to have a mental health background to help someone who could be thinking of suicide.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we had Paul on, our last guest, he said he brought up a conversation where he was in work and he was working in a gym, he was doing PT sessions at the time, and he got a call from a girl, and he said he's only ever had like 1 or 2 conversations with her before in the past, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, yeah, but and what was it? She went, "I'm at the bridge. I think that's where her friend also took her own life." She went, "I'm at the bridge, Paul. I think I'm going to do it." And I said, whoa, why? So then he said, "Where are you? I'm going to come." He's left work, went to her, picked her up in the car, and then he said he was in the car for about 4 hours talking to her, and then she left the car laughing, and then she was fine after that. But he told us that the reason why she chose him out of any friend, even though we've spoken to her, was it 1 or 2 times? Yeah. It's because he created a safe space for her. He was able to talk openly about it online that none of her friends were doing. So she saw Paul as that safe space because he was so open to talk about the topic in general. So imagine like how we didn't even actually ask Paul that, like how he felt being that person that he's only spoke to. For instance, it's like you calling me. It's only the second time we've ever met. But as you going, Lou, I've got no one else to talk to. Obviously, you've still got great people to talk to first. But for instance, scenario, I've got no one to talk to. But I know because you talk about this, I need you. Like, I could be thinking about doing it.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, going on to that as well, I think what Paul's done there, he should be really proud of himself for someone to feel so comfortable with him. You know, only spoke a few times, he must feel so proud. And if fulfillment as well, you know, probably doesn't cost a lot of money to do that, probably costs nothing, but the fulfillment you get internally in your heart, you know, you can't buy that. Hence why me and my mum are in the workspace that we're in. You know, talking about safe spaces, Mum, what are your thoughts on safe spaces? Remember when we were getting the training on like safe talk and stuff like that and assist? Explain what a good safe space is.
See, for me, it's about having them qualities. You know, if someone is thinking of suicide, they're going to approach someone who's non-judgmental, caring, not going to give them advice. You know, it's all them helpful qualities, you know, because if someone has got unhelpful qualities, someone who's angry, someone who panics, someone who's judgmental, that person is not going to approach someone and tell them that they are thinking of suicide. So I think it's who you are as a person. You know, I know you're saying about having a safe space, but...
More like a safe person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that person... Because it's like I always say to people, you know, especially when I'm doing the training, you know, when I'm doing the training, the Safe Talk training, you know, I get across to people, we're not going to say to that person, we don't say to that person, you're not thinking of doing something silly. You don't say that. That's a no-no. Because if that person says that, they're disregarding that person of what they're thinking about, and that's suicide. You know, and this is what I get across when I'm doing the training. And also, what's really important, I just want to mention now, is how we talk, the language, and how we talk about suicide is important. You know, and suicide, believe it or not, used to be a crime. It was committed. It was a crime.
This is really interesting, by the way. Really interesting.
Yeah. Suicide was a crime. So up to 1961, if someone had attempted suicide, and if they had attempted suicide, like years ago, they were put into a mental institution because they were known as being insane. And the shame that was put on the families. So language is really important. So when we're talking about suicide, we don't use that word committed. Because Jade, who I lost my daughter, Jade didn't commit anything. She never committed anything. She died by suicide. So it's really important. And that's what the message I want to get across. We don't use that word committed because no one's committed anything. So we either say died by suicide or they took their own life.
Yeah, because when you first explained that to me, and I got it wrong after like 15 minutes, I still said the word committed because it's just so normal. But obviously when someone goes, oh, he committed a crime, he committed a bank robbery, he committed this, it's like, oh, he's went and done something that shouldn't be done. Like he's went and done something illegal, he's went and done something wrong. But then when you explain that to me, you sit there for a minute and you go, oh my God, yeah, that makes so much sense. But the language that we use is so normal nowadays to say it. I was taken back when you said that.
Yeah, so language is really important because it's about, that's why there's so much taboo and stigma surrounding suicide. There's too much, and we need to break that stigma and taboo. And that's why I always say language is really important when we're talking about suicide, really important.
No, it is. Just, what was it I said? I can't remember who said it to, but I said language is the most powerful tool that we can use. Because it's, like everyone always says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Or it can be the type of words that you use that people can interpret in a certain way. It's just, language is the number one thing of how we do it. That's why if you have a conversation with someone and they're really articulate, you'll sit there and listen. But you could talk to Frank from around the corner who's a homeless guy or something, and he talks like the most Scouse fella ever. Could have the same message, but you're not going to listen to him as much because how he's talking. So using like the words like commit shouldn't be aligned with the word suicide. Like they shouldn't be combined together. So it was, it was just, it really took me back that when you told me it was interesting as well, to say the least.
So I never ever, I try and get that message across, because a lot of people don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah. I remember, where was it? My mum called me the other day and she said, Lou, you can't use the word suicide. And I was on something. I went, no, Tracey actually told me you can't wear the use commit. And I had to give her a little lesson. I said 1971, not 1961. I can't remember that part. But
I was just going to ask, how did that law change then? So what happened in 1961?
Yeah.
Where society or the law looked at people who were trying to obviously do
take
that.
their own life.
Yeah. So what happened? Why did it change?
I'm not quite sure. I just, because as you know, legislation changes all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you've asked that, because that's maybe something I need to look into, because I'm not quite sure. But something must have happened.
Case, something must have happened.
Something must have happened, because that's when they changed, the legislation was changed then, up to like 1961, when they realised that suicide was not a crime, that people didn't commit anything But I'll look into that. I'm glad that you've asked me that. Because obviously something that sort of changed for them to sort of change that up to 1961, where they then realised that suicide wasn't a crime. We don't use that word committed.
Because I was just thinking, like, as a society, we've got like the responsibility to be giving people like them safe spaces, and like we just discussed. But like, yeah, something must have clicked, something must have changed, or yeah, I'm just interested to find that.
And you know, when I actually did my training, I found that really sad. You know, really, really sad. I felt angry about it.
No compassion or no, like,
no.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just terrible language to use when you think about it, or even have a law like that it's...
That someone was classed as being insane.
Yeah.
You know, and the shame that was put on the families. You know, but I mean, thank goodness that they have changed it.
Yeah, because when you said about like people like back in the time they get thrown into a mental institute, like we still have facilities nowadays. In your opinion, are them facilities good for people? Because, for instance, when we were talking about Elliot before, we were talking outside. Yeah, it's like, do they actually help people? Because he was saying, listen, like, I've tried to take my own life. I was trying to swallow all these pills, but you put me in a place that I shouldn't be in right now. This is not helpful for me. So, in your own opinion, do you think that they're good for people, or they can help people, anything like that? Or do you think there's a different way, different methods for people to be able to get help that's going to be more beneficial for them?
I think, because I can't sort of get into a debate as much as I want to say,
no,
but I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I can't.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't say it, because...
Well, that's fine. Cut that out.
Going back to before then, do you think a lot of people don't talk because they're afraid of judgment?
Right. I think, going back to what you've just said there, that's why organisations like the one that I've set up is really important, because it's non-clinical. When people come in, men and women, they feel listened to. They feel cared for. And we've got the time. We sort of have the time to... They leave with hope. And I feel like, because we've got the time to spend with that person, you know, I know sometimes, obviously, other organisations, whatever, sort of rushed off their feet and stuff like that, you know, but what we do is we're sort of reducing the hospital admissions. We're reducing the hospital admissions, you know, because people come into the project and they do feel cared for, and they see that as soon as they come in. They're like, wow.
Going on to what you just said then as well, Mum, is, you know, not to go into it at all, but with the waiting lists on doctors and counselling sessions, we've had clients that have been on 12 months, 24 months waiting lists. You know, our services provide a referral booked in the same week or the following week. And then going on to that, a counselling service will be handed to them 2-3 weeks after that. You know, it's unheard of. You know, people are waiting 24 months, but we're also waiting maximum 3 weeks. How can we're reducing the suicide rate dramatically? Because imagine someone who's in suicidal crisis for 24 months. Are they going to last a full 2 years? They've got more chance lasting 3 weeks. You know, that's the service that we're providing, and it's amazing. And what my mum's done is been nothing but fantastic, and I'm proud of you.
I'm glad, thanks, Jack. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that Jack's mentioned that, because it is about, you know, there's no barriers to access. You know, people can come in. As soon as someone's in crisis, they're in straight away, because our priority is keeping them safe from suicide. But like Jack just said there, you know, I mean, my background is I'm a psychotherapist. That's my background. You know, I've got a lot of experience in mental health. I've worked as a psychotherapist for 12 years. You know, worked with anxiety, depression. You know, self-harm is huge now as well. A lot of people self-harming, especially women. You know, addiction. And because I know of how important, you know, I know not everyone engages in counselling. Not everyone does. everyone's different. But like what Jack's just said there, I mean, we've been open 17 months. I've got 12 counsellors in the project, 12. And most of them are trained up in the assist that I mentioned before. So they're incorporating the assist as well. And that's where, you know, like what Jack said, if someone's gone through some kind of trauma, we've kept them safe from suicide. That's where the counselling service comes in, because they need to work through whether they're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, any kind of trauma. They need to work through that. You know, some of our counsellors are offering an EMDR. People are having to wait years. Yeah. You know, hypnotherapy, you know, hypnotherapy, EMDR, cognitive behavioural therapy, personal-centred. And that's why I've got so many. I've got another 2 more counsellors going to be starting with me in about 2 weeks. I'm going to have 14 counsellors. So at the moment, I haven't got any waiting list. Like what Jack just said, you know, once we've got all the information and we've done a referral, they're like, am I really going to be seen by a counsellor next week?
They're shocked. Like they actually are shocked, because I make the phone calls to the clients. You know, I do all the phone calls and stuff like that. And some of them seem like so happy and so shocked at the same time, because they're like, wow, are you really going to see me next week? I've been waiting 2 years. You know, I've been suffering for so long. 3 months down the line, the mental health and anxiety has improved dramatically. You know, I've seen it firsthand. I'm only 20. You know, I've worked jobs that have been terrible, you know, just being a number. But in the project, you're actually there for people, and you can't put a price on that. And to see people's improvements from coming in suicidal, depressed, anxiety, can't get out the house, to finally getting back into work, going on runs, going to the gym, eating well. You know, it's just amazing, the work that we're doing. And it's all down to Tracey Roberts, really.
Can I just say something as well that's really important? We're not just helping clients who are in crisis. This is also about prevention.
I was going to follow up on that. Yeah, go on.
Right.
Sorry.
We're not just working with clients who are thinking of suicide, who are or have attempted suicide. It's also about prevention. And again, this is where the counselling service comes in, because a lot of clients are not thinking of suicide. They haven't attempted suicide. They're probably suffering with anxiety, depression, addiction, trauma. And it's about the client, you know, connecting with the counsellor, working through their issues to stopping them getting to crisis. And that's why the prevention is so important. You know, we're also offering postvention as well. So we're supporting a lot of families who have lost people to suicide. So intervention, prevention and postvention.
Good, that's really good, yeah. Because I was going to maybe ask, like, what you've just touched on, kind of saying, what about the people who are not quite at that point, but they're having these seeds of like doubt, where they're doubting themselves, or they've got that anxiety, they kind of like don't know whether to go to the doctor or where do they go, do you know what I mean? So maybe the facility that you provide is exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah, because the amount of people since we've opened who haven't come in suicidal crisis, that just wanted to work through their issues, and we've been given thank you cards to say thank you so much, you know, because of the work that we deliver in the project. Because all of us at the project, you know, we've got so much compassion when it comes to mental health and suicide. We're all really, really passionate, and I think clients pick that up, you know.
100% they do,
you know,
every single time, because we're just normal people. We're not on a high horse. We're literally there through our own pain of Jade, you know. So if it weren't for Jade doing what she done, the project wouldn't be open. And, you know, with the amount of lives that we saved in the process of it, it fulfills us in a slight way, you know, to grieve over it.
But that is one way to look at it as well.
It's the only way to look at it, isn't it?
Just say, the people that come in, like, in for prevention before they do reach a stage of crisis, would you two say the work that you are able to do with them and the advice to give them and the interventions that you put into them, do you reckon anyone's ever taken anything away before, like I said, before they got to crisis, been able to take away anything that you usually give them and apply them to other people? So, like, their friends, their family, someone that they might know.
after the counselling service
giving them the skills basically to be able to go with.
Because after the counselling service has been done, say if you've had a year worth of counselling and the client's ready to go off on their own adventures, guaranteed what they've went through and learned about themselves. So it's all about learning about yourself and self-improvement in every session. They would have took that into real life for sure. We've had clients who have had counselling sessions with us and now are working with us. They're actually working with us.
Okay.
They're actually part of the team because they've suffered, not necessarily suicidal, just like you mentioned, anxiety, depression, life. And now they're on the team with us. So what does that say? The proof's in the pudding, it works. They're actually working with us now. When I mentioned Paul, well done, you're doing fantastic for us. Thank you very much.
Well, we're not expecting that answer at all. What you should say, we've had like a card come through the door saying I've been able to help people.
But definitely what you've said, yeah, the impact someone has on their families, because the families see the difference in them then.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it's like a ripple effect. You know, that if someone gets the help that they need, the family benefits from that as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a scenario, yeah. Say one of my friends comes to me and they say they're struggling with the mental health.
Okay.
Or for anyone in general, one of their friends go to them. What would your advice be to the person who's, you know...
being put into like that position?
Yeah, of helping the friend with the mental health. Like, what advice would you give to someone who's been put in that situation where... you know, maybe they haven't been trained or they don't know how to handle the friend coming to them? What would you say during that moment?
For all the listeners, use the training.
So really important is I'd get them on the training, the safe talk training, because I'm a safe talk trainer now, because they need to recognise the signs. The training would really help them. And then what I would say to that person is, you know, I'd ask them for so they're concerned about a friend, yeah. So I'd ask them to maybe ask them if they could give me their friend's number, and myself or one of the team would phone him and reassure him. You know, give him that little bit of reassurance that we're very non-clinical and we just want to support you. The person may say no, because again, it's obviously their choice. But I would definitely say to that person, you need to be trained in safe talk to be able to be aware of any signs if you're concerned. But hopefully that person would come in to the project, because we can't drag people in. Yeah. You know, it's obviously because they've got to come in themselves, and hopefully we'd be able to speak to that person. And get them into the project and support them.
The way I took what you said was, say, for instance, Bob and Phil, like they're going for a pint together or something like that. They meet in the pub, and Bob says to Phil, "Mate, I'm not feeling too good right now. Like I feel like my mental health really having a bad place." Like Phil, I can't remember the way around, but Phil could be a safe person like that. But in that moment, I think what Jay meant was, what could Phil do at that time to be able to help him at that very moment? So what could he say to him? What advice could he give him? Anything like that?
Okay, so really important. There would be like a few invitations there.
Yeah.
So he would ask that question, are you thinking of suicide?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people ask me, you know, again, when I'm delivering the training, if someone's not thinking of suicide and you ask them that question, are you putting it in the head? The answer's no.
Yeah, because that was my thought when you said that then.
Right.
That was my first thought.
That's a myth.
Yeah.
You're not putting it into the head.
So it's a myth to say I'm putting the thought of suicide into their head?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Asking that question, even, you know, you could ask that question and the person will say no. No, I'm not thinking of suicide. And that's okay, because you're not putting that idea into the head.
Are they not just confirming themselves, like, no, I'm
Yeah,
not. Like,
that's right.
It's not like it's like a, yeah, go on, sorry, continue.
But I get across, again, that, you know, it's really important, because asking that question can save someone's life, first of all. But even if they aren't thinking of suicide and they say no, you'll find that person is like, well, thanks for asking me anyway. You know, But you're definitely 100%, you're not putting it in someone's head.
Going on to what you just said then, about, let's go back on to what we were saying about before, about stigma. A lot of people won't even mention the word suicide, will they, Mum? You know, a lot of people won't have the bottle to go, are you thinking of suicide? And mean it. Because some people might say it, but they don't want to know the answer. Because what if they do say yes? Then if they say yes, then that's where the saying would come into it. But like you said, without the saying, it's quite hard, isn't it? It's quite conflicted without having the safe talk behind you to deal with it in the appropriate way.
Yeah. Everyone looked at me then to carry on talking, didn't they?
But
It's just a good answer, good way of
It
answering
was,
the
because
question.
there are some things that you're just saying, and like, as the host, I should be able to carry on the conversation with a flow, but I am just like taking in what you say for a split minute. So if it goes quiet, I'm sorry.
We're having an important conversation that most people wouldn't have, and, you know, we're getting different perspectives, so it's good that we're just having that conversation, because, you know, but it's like we're getting answers too at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Would you say that there's like early signs to maybe try and spot or look out for, or like is it anything that you can pick up on early signs? That
right, so the training that I deliver is called Safe Talk. And Safe Talk stands for Suicide Alertness for Everyone.
Okay.
And the talk stands for tell, ask, listen, and keep safe. And they're the steps that you learn in the training, in the first part of the training. And going back to what you've just said there, so the tell is you'll be able to recognise the invitations, what you may see, hear, sense, or learn about someone who could be thinking about suicide. You know, the tell could be where people say, they could say, I feel like I'm a burden, I don't want to be here anymore.
They have no purpose.
They've got no purpose. You know, there's loads of invitations.
There's a lot of physical signs as well, isn't it? Like lethargic, not wanting to do anything,
That's
no
right.
motivation.
Withdrawn.
Yeah,
I like the way you say invitations as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
because-
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And the reason why they're called invitations is because they're inviting help.
Yeah.
That's why they're called invitations.
Yeah. It's like subtle though, isn't
Yes.
it? Like,
Yeah. So once you're aware of them invitations, you then go on to the ask. And the ask is, so the person's aware of the invitations. The ask then is, are you thinking of suicide? You're asking that direct question. That person says yes. So what you do then, you're going on to the listen step, which is the the L, which is the listen step. So you're listening to that person then to see what's going on for them. You know, I'd say then to the person, this is really important. Would you like to tell me what's going on for you? What's brought you to that point where you feel like that you're thinking of suicide? So it could be what we talked about before. They're struggling financially. They've lost a job. So they'll go into more depth. So the person's recognised the invitations. They've asked the question. They then listen to that person. And then what happens then is, because a lot of people are scared to ask that question because they don't know what to do. What will I do if that person says yeah? There's a lot of fear, you know, fear of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And this is where the training then, because we learn, you go on to the keep safe connection then. And the keep safe connection is, I give all the participants a list of all the keep safe connections. The Tracey Roberts, people who've been trained in the assist, the crisis team. You know, there's other organisations, James Place, they work with men, that's another keep safe connection, Sean's Place. And it's then about making a keep safe connection to keep that person safe. But very quickly, in the second part of the training, people learn why suicide is missed, dismissed and avoided. Why people miss it.
Explain them three that you just mentioned then.
So-
Dismissed,
so-
avoided, and...
So people could miss it because they could be aware of an invitation, but they don't know what to do. So they miss it. Or they could miss it because they think this person doesn't fit the profile of someone that could be thinking of suicide. So it's missed. And then it could be dismissed because, again, they dismiss it. They're aware of the invitations, but they dismiss it because they think is this person being dramatic? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is this person being dramatic?
Yeah.
Because they're not thinking, are they really thinking of suicide? So it's dismissed.
You don't mean it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cry for help.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
so
why it's when they dismiss it then. And it's avoided then. People avoid it. Most of the time, people avoid it because it's about fear.
Yeah.
Fear. I don't know what to do. It could also be dismissed because people could be burnt out themselves. They could have their own thoughts of suicide. They may feel overwhelmed, so it's dismissed. There's a lot of reasons why it's dismissed. It's always about fear. But they learn that in the second part of the training.
The only suggestions I could give to you then, boys, if you're ever in that position, is now that you're aware that we're the Jade Roberts project, as a keep safe connection, as the last step that my mum just said, then you would ask the fella or the lady, right, I've got someone here to support you, do I have your permission? They say, yeah, okay. Then you'll go on your phone, you'll give us a call, then we'll go, I've got such and such, can I refer them to you? I'll write down on the referral, I'll take the contact number, ring them straight away, get them booked in for the same day or the next day, whichever. If the crisis points too much, they'll be in the same day. If they've got mental health anxiety, it'll be the following. Literally, that's a keep safe connection. You're going to ring us then and say, look, I've got someone here, you need to help them.
Yeah.
That's you, you've done your job then.
It's like a hotline, isn't it? Straight directly to you.
Yeah.
Sort them out, yeah.
Can I just say as well, like, you know what, like, you should be so proud of what you're doing, because like it's God's work that, like, you're like real life heroes. You're like helping so many people, and it's like, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off to you, but I don't. But yeah, like it's inspirational, and like you should be so proud of what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is amazing.
Can I just say something as well? I think it's important for me to say. Like them invitations that I've just spoken about. The invitations were there with Jade. Jade had anxiety and depression for a long time, and the invitations were there, but because I knew nothing about suicide, and that's why this training is so important. So important.
And just to clarify, Jade is your daughter.
So Jade,
Your daughter, her daughter, yeah.
yeah. So Jade was 26 when she took her own life. Two little boys were only 1 and 2. And the invitations were there because Jade used to say to me, I don't want to be here anymore, Mum. And that is a huge invitation. And that's why I am so passionate about suicide prevention, because I never, ever asked Jade that question. Ever. As a mum, are you thinking of suicide? And on the 23rd of April, 3 years ago, I just want to say as well, because it's really important that people know the type of person that Jade was. She was caring. She'd give her last fiver to the homeless person. She always worries about other people. She was the life and soul of the party.
You've got this, Mum.
Doing well, honestly.
She was absolutely adorable, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Jade's mum. And she was beautiful inside and out. And on the 23rd of April was when my life completely changed. Because I got up that morning and I knew something wasn't right. And I got in my car and I went to Highton to go and see Jade. And I won't go into detail, but I was on my own that day. And I thought when I opened that front door, I thought Jade was playing a trick on me. And I knew she was dead. Because of how cold she was. And I'm going to be honest, right? I'm going to be really honest because I'm a really honest person. I have never, ever experienced pain like it in my entire life. It's bad enough losing a daughter, but when you lose your daughter to suicide, there's so many unanswered questions, which I'm never, ever going to get. And I'm going to be honest, I have never, ever experienced pain like it in my entire life. And there was a point, my mental health, I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression. I was doped up on medication. My other daughter, Danny, had to look after me. I was stuck in my bedroom. And there was a time when I wanted to take my own life, and I'm going to be honest, I nearly did, but I didn't, because I couldn't handle the pain. And that's what I believe. People don't want to die by suicide. They want the pain to go away. And I was that close. So I know what it's like to be in suicidal crisis as well, because I've been there. But I'm here today because I didn't take my own life. I'll never, ever be the same person, ever. The pain will never, ever go away. I wake up to the pain every single morning. I'm learning to live with the pain every single day. And when I decided to set the project up, I know today that, and that's why I'm so passionate with suicide prevention training, because all the stuff I know today, I know that Jade would still be here, because I never ever asked her that question. The invitations were there. Are you thinking of suicide? I didn't ask her. So all I can do today, in Jade's memory, is save other people. And that's what I've done, you know. The amount of suicide interventions I've done. Because when someone's sat in front of me, they're like, oh my God, the empathy that you've got. Because I don't want their family going through the pain that we've gone through. So they pick up on my empathy and how much I care. Every single client. And Jade's two little boys. When Thomas was a baby, Jade went out and brought him a little teddy bear. And he doesn't go anywhere without his Ted, especially when he lost his mum. And what we've done now, like I said to you earlier on, we had a relaunch on Jade's birthday, 7th of August. And our new logo is Ted. We've actually personalised it, because this is going to be a legacy for Thomas and Joseph for when they get older, and hopefully. And what we've done is our logo now, if Jade's two little boys were here and you asked them what TED stands for, they'd say hope. And that's what TED stands for.
Do you want to take a break?
You're all right.
You ready again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, were you saying that you had PTSD and obviously everything that happened after Jade, of course, you're going to be feeling every single emotion in the world. But for anyone that's never experienced PTSD or that type of level of pain before, what was it? What was it like? How was you? Like, I don't even know how to explain, because I've never been there before. I've never seen anyone with it, so I don't even know how. But can you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
I mean, for me, everyone's different, whether someone's got post-traumatic stress disorder, but for myself, because of the trauma that's related to suicide, so my symptoms were, I'd say probably for 12 months. The medication I was on, obviously medication, that helped me quite a lot.
I was going to say, did the medication help?
It did, yeah. Because I couldn't sleep. I wasn't sleeping. And I guess for me, I just had that vision of Jade. It was there constantly in my head. It wouldn't go away. It was there all the time. I couldn't eat. I had no appetite at all. My anxiety was absolutely through the roof. I think that's one of the reasons why I couldn't eat, because of my anxiety. My anxiety was really, really bad. Hence, that's why I was taking medication, because the medication would help me sleep and sort of switch off. Because without the medication, I couldn't switch off. And I remember one day, you know, sort of being out, and there's a lot of, with post-traumatic stress disorder, there can be triggers. It could be a smell. Could be anything that triggers that anxiety. And I remember being out one day, I obviously won't say what it was, but something happened, and it just brought that day back by what I'd seen. And it brought the day back to when I found Jade, and the panic attack that I experienced, I actually thought I was hyperventilating. And the guy was looking at me as if to say, "You okay?" I was panicking because I felt like, because I know the symptoms myself of panic attacks, because I've had panic attacks in the future. You know, I have suffered with panic attacks, and I was hyperventilating, and I had to just keep breathing just to sort of bring that anxiety down. And then I remember going back home, and Danny, my daughter, was like, "Mum, what's wrong?" And because of this trigger, again, the trigger, what's the name, my post-traumatic stress disorder, and I just broke down crying. And again, it was like I had to focus on my breathing. Because everyone has different symptoms when they're having panic attacks. You know, people say to me they often feel like they're going to have a heart attack, because, you know, heart palpitations, your mouth goes really dry where you can't even speak. Again, that's anxiety. So I think as well, I had to then have trauma therapy. I decided that I knew I wasn't in a good place because of the post-traumatic stress disorder, and I knew that the medication was just really a plaster, really just to make me okay for that time, because I wouldn't have slept. So I then got in touch with a counsellor, a qualified counsellor, and I then had to work through that trauma, which wasn't easy, because you sort of, when you're working through trauma, you're working through that pain. There's so many emotions attached to that, so many different emotions. And I guess, you know, eventually, because I was in therapy for a long time, I had to work through. I believe that my grief, especially when you lose a child, the grieving process is completely different. And even when you lose someone to suicide, because of the trauma that's attached to it, the grieving process is very complex. It's not like a normal grieving process, because it's very complex, and I had to work through that with my counsellor. You know, I was going to see her once a week. You know, there was times when I didn't want to go because I knew how painful it was. I wasn't going there. I was going there to talk about really difficult things that I needed to work through. But it really helped me. Having, you know, Rewind is another one. There's a therapy called Rewind. And Rewind is when a lot of counsellors do use Rewind, and it's about when someone has been through a trauma in their life, that they use that technique, which is called Rewind, which then, because of that picture that I had of Jade, it was there constantly, it wouldn't go. I tried everything and it wouldn't go. And the Rewind technique it's like an unconscious, subconscious thing, and it takes away that image. The image started going gradually.
How did they do it? What was the techniques that they used to be able to do that?
You have to sort of, you need to imagine that image, which I did obviously with Jade. And what they do, and the reason why it's called Rewind is because you then sort of, how can I explain it? It's hard to put into words.
Feel like you changed
It's
what actually happened. You kind of changed the outcome, kind of thing. So it's like a different kind of memory.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. I was trying to put that into words because when I was having it, it's different to sort of say, but it's called rewind because it then, like what you've just said there, the image then is no longer there. It's not as it's hard to explain. It's not as, because it was so there, if that makes sense. It was there constantly, all the time. And then with this, when the counsellor used this technique, it's like I was then able to start looking at pictures of Jade. Because I couldn't even look at pictures of Jay. And even when I lost Jade, I couldn't look at any pictures. It was too traumatic for me. But when I had this technique, I was then able, I still find it difficult looking at pictures of Jade. But it's helping me through my grieving process. And that's where it's hard to explain. I can't explain if that...
I know if you can't get your words out, then it must be hard to explain. Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you as well. So you mentioned about when you were on medication, and you also mentioned about the counselling that you were having, the rewind technique. Can you tell me a bit about the differences between plastering with the medication and also rewinding that image?
I mean, some people need medication. You know, they need it. But it's like when I lost Jade, I needed that medication at that time because I was on diazepam. And I remember my GP saying, you're going to end up getting addicted, Tracey. They're very addictive. And I was like, it was like I was begging for them. I said, I need them. I'm not going to get addicted right now. I need them tablets. So going back to what Jack's just said, and then when I decided, like I said before, I know I was in a really, really dark place. And that's when I believe then my resilience kicked in then. Because I feel like, yeah, people have resilience. Everyone has resilience. And it's about tapping into that resilience when things are really, really difficult. Everyone has resilience. And that's when mine kicked in. And that's when I decided then it was my choice to come off the medication and then to go into counselling and have trauma therapy and have this rewind. So by talking then, by coming off the medication and talking about that trauma and about me working through that grieving process helped me because I don't take medication anymore. I'm not on medication because that's why I believe talking therapies is really important, you know, but I'm not dismissing medication because people do need medication for certain, you know, whether they've got schizophrenia or certain mental illnesses or stuff. But, you know, I believe that talking therapies, and it's about talking about what's really going on. And it's about working through them issues.
Yeah, because talking is definitely arguably the best, isn't it? Because like me and Jay have a lot of conversations about how to better ourselves, how people better themselves, and a lot of ours is like food, like what you put into your body, how you feel, exercise. They're like our main two go-tos, but talking as well is definitely up there.
But I think as well, what's important as well, I still can have little triggers to post-traumatic stress disorder, but I feel like I'm more in control.
Yeah, the energy behind it's not as strong or
No.
as powerful.
I feel like I'm actually more in control.
I was going to say, is it the energy that's not as strong, or are you stronger?
I'm stronger.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I guess even with anxiety, if you're not in control of it, it can become a problem.
Yeah.
Because people then have social anxiety. Because I know I had social anxiety because I was stuck in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social anxiety. And that's when anxiety becomes a problem, when you can't sort of do day-to-day things.
You isolate yourself.
Yeah,
don't you, from
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that social anxiety that I had, I could not go out. I was stuck in the bedroom. I wasn't in control of my anxiety. But I feel like today, don't get me wrong, you know, like Jade's anniversary was only like last week, and so I can relive that day. But I feel like I'm more in control today. I don't sort of go into that panic where I can't breathe, but I feel like I'm not in control. I feel like I'm more in control.
Okay, and you mentioned about being in control. Well, what do you reckon made you be in control 3 years later? What advice have you got to other people that might think, wow, I'm never getting out of this rut, I'm never going to get out of this image? What advice have you got?
I mean, for me, it was, like I said, that resilience. I mean, I knew I was going down, and I thought, hang on a minute, I'm a survivor. I really am. I see myself as a survivor, and I have a lot of inner strength, and I tapped into that. And I believe everyone has that. I really, truly believe that everyone has that, where they can tap into it. Yeah. And I tapped into that, and I thought, I just remember thinking, I can't have another family going through the pain that me and my family have gone through. And that's when, then I felt then, for the first time in my life after losing Jade, that I had a purpose.
Do you feel like it takes, sometimes it takes a negative thing happening to realise your strength? Do you think?
Most definitely. Yeah. I truly believe, I'm only talking for myself, that I believe the pain that I've been through in my life has made me the person I am today. I truly believe that. That, it's through pain. I believe that through pain you grow.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. That's the only time. It's great when life's all great and you're jumping through isn't life brilliant?
Just take it with the pain, haven't you?
Yeah. But when you've experienced emotional pain or any type of trauma, and you come out the other end, because I know myself today, I'm not the same person. I feel I have got, people go, Tracey, the strength that you've got, you're an inspiration for what you've done. Because I've changed my pain now into hope.
Yes. That's exactly what you've done. You've transformed your pain. It's still there, but you've transformed that energy of the pain into something uplifting and positive. Do you know what I mean? And that's what strength is at the end of the day. So.
And that's when I decided to set the project up.
Did you do your own therapy then, did you say? So, you done therapy for all that, for what you've been through?
Yeah.
So, was there any tools or things that you took from therapy that you could maybe give advice on to other people who haven't had therapy yet or just struggling? Any tools or that you go to when you're maybe having a panic attack or you're having a bad day or negative, a cycle of negative thoughts? What's your go-to to soothe and come to yourself?
I mean, my therapy helped me. I mean, I'm a counsellor myself, so a big part of my training was my own personal development and having counselling. That's a big part of being a counsellor. So having my therapy helped me to work through that pain, as difficult as it was. I was given techniques, I used techniques. Say if I was out and there was a trigger that triggered off my post-traumatic stress disorder, with me breathing. I use a lot of CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy is really good because it's sometimes about what am I thinking that's causing me to feel anxious, and I learned, I already knew, I guess, myself, but when you're in it, you can't do it yourself, if that makes sense. Even the stuff that I knew, I couldn't do it myself at that time. It was only when I came out of it that, so going back to what you said, so my therapy, it was challenging my thoughts, what my thoughts, because I always say to people, we can't change how we feel, but we can change how we think. And when we change how we think, that changes how we feel. It impacts us on our mood, on our behaviour. So I was challenging my thought process. Because my thought process was, you're going to have a panic attack now if you go into Sainsbury's. You're going to have a panic attack, Tracy.
Yeah, because you're planting the seeds.
Yeah,
you
so I
plant
created, because I truly believe as what we think, we become.
Yes, you are what you think, for sure.
I truly believe that. I think the mind is so powerful. It's the brain is so powerful that, so the techniques, the counselling, I mean, counselling has helped me so much in my life because I truly believe it's a journey. about yourself. It's a journey of self-discovery. It's a journey of self-awareness. You learn things about yourself. You know, I used to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I'm not anymore.
Oh, you can have boundaries.
Yeah, you know, I was a terrible people pleaser because I wanted people to like me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a journey. Yeah. I mean, I truly believe who I am today is through my counselling. Through, because it's, you know, and if you get the right counsellor, you know, it's about building that relationship up. It's all about change.
So do you think self-awareness is like an important factor when it comes to like trauma and negative thoughts? You've got to be kind of self-aware and like listen, like actually pay attention to what you're thinking and what you're feeling.
Most definitely, yeah. Having that self-awareness, because I am very self-aware today, and that's only through my own counselling. You know, self-aware of if triggers did come up, certain smells, being aware of how I'm going to stay in control of my anxiety, you know, me breathing, being aware of what I'm thinking. But yeah, the person I am today is because of my counselling, my own therapy.
Do you reckon like self-awareness is like the complete opposite of ego? So if you're not self-aware of yourself, you're too egotistical to be able to be open to yourself? That made sense in my head.
If you're self-aware though, you're aware that you've got an ego, because every one of us have got an ego, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's just taming that ego and thinking more from your heart and your soul rather than like, you know, your pain or what someone said about you or that kind of thing, do you know what I mean? That's all ego. But, I think when you are self-aware, you're probably aware that you've got an ego too. And you know when it's your ego talking and you know when it's actually you talking, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that's definitely me in a nutshell, I'm not going to lie. That is, when I think about it, it is me. But it's using the ego in the right way. Yeah. So after all of that, obviously, that you went through with the counselling, what made you start the project? So, like, there must have been a day, or not must have been, there was a day where you just like, no, I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna do something now, and it's gonna be the project, or it might have been a couple of steps. But what was it? What was that day like? What was the thought process?
No.
Or did Jack come over and tell you? Because I feel like Jack knows everything.
So I remember we had like a first event. Someone put an event on for Jade, and it was in memory of Jade, and it was in Goals and Speak. They put an event on, and it was all about raising awareness around mental health and suicide, but it was for Jade. And I wasn't in a good place then at all. And I remember the guy coming up and saying, do you want to do a speech, Tracey, at the end? I didn't want to, but I did. Because I was so vulnerable at the time, really vulnerable. And I got up, and I just remember one of the things that I said was, when I'm strong enough, I'm going to set up a mental health and suicide prevention organisation. I remember saying that. And then when I sort of went into my own therapy, which I talked about before, and I started becoming, I wasn't as vulnerable. I was thinking a lot more rationally. And I just remember, I don't know when it was, but I remember sitting there and thinking, I'm going to have to change this. Something's got to be changed. I don't want another family going through the pain that we've been through. And because of my background as well, because I'm a psychotherapist, I had that little bit of head start, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong, I've never ever, I mean, what I've done is, I actually can't believe that, what I've actually created, to be honest. I can't, honestly. And that was it then. Like I said before, I started doing research into suicide. I went to a suicide prevention conference. I did my assist. And then I lived in the library, in Dovecot Library. I started doing all my policies, getting all my policies in place. And then I decided then it was going to be the Jade Roberts project. It was in honour of Jade. I had quite a lot of meetings with people because I wanted to know. I'd never set up an organisation before. So we started off as a limited company. And then 6 months later, I applied for CIC. So we're a community interest company now. And I just remember I remember Danny phoning me and going, Mum, I've seen somewhere. And it was on Rocky Lane. And I phoned up the estate agents and I said, can I have a viewing? Because I loved the front room because it was massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down. I went down for the viewing. The back part was a mess. There was a lot of work that needed doing to it. It was horrendous. Because it'd been closed for quite a while. And I knew that was the right one. Because like I said before, I was brought up on Rocky Lane with Jade. When I came out of hospital with Jade, I had a flat on Rocky Lane. So it was very dear to me. And it was meant to be on Rocky Lane. And also, because of the poverty and addiction, that's where I needed to be. So I met the landlord and he was blown away when I told him that I wanted to set up a mental health organisation, suicide prevention, and then I signed the lease. And that's when it all started then. So it took us 3 months to get all the buildings sorted out. Some people very kindly came in and did some plastering for me. Me and my daughter were there for days painting. We did all the painting ourselves. In there day in, day out. And then I started buying posters, getting all the nice things. And then the furniture started coming in then. And then we had it was all ready, the computers. And that's when I started doing interviews because I needed my volunteers on board because I couldn't open without my volunteers. So, but yeah, we got all that in place. So I still can't believe I've actually done it, to be honest. And then we opened our doors on the 21st of November 2022. That's when we opened the J.L. Roberts project. And we were open 3 days to start off. First couple of weeks, sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And then after 3 months, the phone started ringing then. It started getting busier. And we the first year, we were busy, but not as busy as we are now because people know about the project now. We started getting referrals in from the crisis team, from GPs. People were self-referring. It's just grown. I've got an absolute great team on board. We all work together as a team. Honestly, only for the volunteers, the project wouldn't be open. The counsellors, they give their free time. But we are coming into our second year now, and the place is too small.
The room is big though when you first walk in. But I met you two, obviously, when I first arrived. I met Danny as well, and your daughter. And also, who was the lady that I met? The lady came. Irene, yes, that was it. It's a good thing you worked there, isn't it? You remember names. But it's like even just meeting you four on that day, it was nice to be in there. It was a nice environment. Like, you came in, like, before I even left, Irene gave me a hug. I didn't even speak to her. But it was just like, you're good people, aren't you? Like, you can openly admit that as well. You're good people and you've all got the purpose. And you bring it in, by the looks of it, the right people as well. Even the social media work that you do, everything's just positive. There's no ego. There's no look at us. There's no, I want this, I want that. It's all just a message, a purpose, and everyone's on board with it. It's like Jay was saying before, like you got to give yourself so much gratitude. And I don't know when you go or whatever time, you'll be sitting here for a long time talking about it, and they will come down and see it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. But what's next for the project? How are you gonna expand? Because like I said, you need a bigger space.
So we are struggling with funding at the moment. Yeah. So if anyone's listening, and wants to sort of help us out, by all means get in touch with us. Just Google the Jade Roberts Project. Only for our first year, we relied on fundraising. The amount of fundraising that went on in the first year, I wouldn't have been able to keep my doors open. So if anyone wants to do any fundraising, one of the clients I was seeing when we first opened, a male client, I won't obviously say his name, but he was one of my clients, and he wanted to give something back, and he did a skydive with 2 of his work colleagues. So he brought some money into the project as well. So we've had a lot of the amount of support that we've had from people doing different fundraising. You know, Michelle Ferguson, I think it's important that I mention her. She's done a lot of fundraising. Michelle Klein, Scaffold Pike, and she raised over £5,000 for us. Yeah. She's going to be doing another walk in May. She hasn't decided where yet. Her brother Jay was 26 when he took his own life. So she's very, very passionate as well when it comes to suicide prevention. There's a lot of people I can mention, but I guess there's so many. But I just want to say thank you to everyone who's done the fundraising for the project, because we wouldn't have been able to keep our doors open. So because we are coming into our 2nd year and wanting to now, we need bigger premises, because we've only got 2 rooms at the moment. I need bigger premises because I need a training room, because me and Jack, my son, are doing the assist on the 13th of May. You know, I think I said to you before that we're both, all of the team in the project are trained in the assist, which is applied suicide intervention skills training, but we're going to be assist trainers. So we're away for 5 days, hard graft, for 5 days. I'm really, really looking forward to it. One of our supporters has very kindly paid the £6,000, because that's how much it is for the training.
Wow.
Yes, to become an assist trainer. He wants to remain anonymous. But if he listens to this, I just want to say thank you, because he knows who he is. He's actually very kindly paid £6,000. So when me and Jack come back, we're going to be assist trainers. So we'll also be delivering Safe Talk and the assist, because the more people trained up in both of them training programs, the more lives can be saved to suicide. So, yeah, we need bigger premises, because what I'm looking to do this year is I need a room specifically where I can deliver the training. I want to incorporate the holistic therapies. Want to do mindfulness classes, confidence classes, more proactive things for men and women coming into the project. We need that in place, you know, where men can just come in, you know, like a hub.
Yeah.
Where they can, you know, clients who have accessed our project, whether it be intervention or prevention, they can maybe come in, have a game of darts, a game of pool, and have a coffee. So, yeah, we need bigger premises. I remember sitting in the library and thinking to myself, I'd like a bus, the Tracey Roberts bus, where we can even take clients out, you know?
That'd be good.
Yeah.
A minivan.
Yes.
Going to the mountains and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A minivan, and you can go up there.
Would you just do fundraising with the clients? Go to Snowdon, go to Mole Family, something
Most
like that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Get them physically moving as well. Get them feeling more part of the community.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
you can do fundraising as well while with them. So that could be something that you could think of.
But definitely getting the clients involved.
Yeah.
Because it is all about, you know, I always say, you know, it's about having positive mental health is about whether it's going to the gym, going for a walk. You know, diet is a huge one now when it comes to mental health. You know, being aware of your diet and what you're eating. So there's so many different things that I want to sort of do for this year. But we need bigger premises and we need more money.
Yeah, because for instance, like you highlight counsellors and that, but you could have, if you do get when you get the bigger site, you could have a nutritionist working there that they can just give out free advice. You could also have someone that's got the personal training or online coaching, but they're able to give out that type of advice of what people could be doing. And then there's so many ways that you could go with this, you know. There really is. There's so many doors that can be opened, so many people you can collaborate with, work with. It's
and I think
it's actually exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, you know, because we're coming into our 2nd year. You know, it's like, wow, you know, we've been open 17 months.
Yeah.
The amount of referrals we've had in that time. And because we are people are getting to know about, you know, who we are. People are phoning up, mental health practitioners, you know, they want to know about our organisation and what services we offer. So, yeah, I think this second year now is going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
The first year is always the what to name when it comes to a new organisation, you know. But now that we're coming into our second year, I guess what me and Jack do in the assist as well, we can maybe generate more money into the project as well with the training, as well as getting people trained up as well in the assist.
Yeah. It is exciting times ahead for us. And honestly, I don't think there's probably two better people to be going into that training. It is. It's heartwarming as well, the way that you even like the way that you look at each other. Like it's just that unconditional love that you've got for each other with like,
you know
but
what?
that purpose.
Do you know what? I was saying, right, I was actually saying, because I've always wanted to do the assist, to become an assist trainer, always. And I just didn't know the right person to take, because I knew I had to take that right person to deliver the assist for 2 days. And I knew, like a couple of months ago, I knew it was Jack. Because I think I'm passionate. But Jack...
Don't go red,
I mean, I think he's got a magic wand. When he's doing referrals, I think he's got a magic wand in there. Because the male and the female clients come out and you go, oh my God, he is amazing.
Got a good smile on him.
Right? No, seriously. You go, he is absolutely amazing. And the hope that they leave with, honestly, I'm not just saying it. Because Jack is obviously a listening ear in there as well. So, you know, so he's not only doing suicide interventions, but he's a listener and AA, he's doing referrals. But when we're out there doing the assist, I mean, I'm the older one. You know, I'm not getting any younger.
Neither's Jack.
But, so I think because of our age, having Jack, you know, 20 years of age, I mean, I'm so proud of Jack, you know. I'm proud of our Danny as well. Because our Danny does amazing work in the project. She's very passionate like me and Jack. But the fact that Jack is doing the assist, you know, to actually become an assist trainer at 20 years of age is just mind-blowing.
And going on to that as well, what I'd also like to mention with that is at 20, you know, a lot of people will dive into things that could negatively affect their future life. You know, we've all been there. If you're listening now, any youngsters, 17, 18, 19, 20, going out partying, drink, drugs, all that type of stuff. You know, I could have easily have sank when my sister passed away, as I was best friends with her before she did pass away. You know, I seen the signs, I seen the invitations, hence why I spent so much time with her over the last few months before she passed away. So any young men out there, 17, 18, 19, 20, if you are going out partying, you see yourself in a bit of a rut, you're being a bit of a tit, anything like that, just know that resilience that my mum mentioned before, you know, you can get out of the rut, you can be better, you can eat well, you can speak well, you can make people feel happier. Having a good aura and a good vibe and a good smile goes a long way. You know, this is all self-taught from me. I was never meant to be a mental health and suicide support worker. You know, I could have easily went the wrong way. So if anyone's listening, just know that things can get better, but you've got to surround yourself with the right people. You know, you are a product of your environment. If you hang around with 5 pissheads who drink alcohol every weekend, you're going to become the 6th. If you hang around with 5 entrepreneurs, you're going to be the 6th. You can get where I'm coming from with that. So be very careful who you spend your time with and who you exchange energy with as well, because bad energy is real and that can hugely affect your good one. So spread good energy to people who need it at most. Hence why in the project I have a lot of good reviews, people coming out smiling, happier, good comments. You know, that's very good for me, but it's all down to being a good person with good spirits, and you know, that's all I want to say. But if any young men listening, you can get out the rut. I was once in it, and now, you know, I'm a very strong, passionate man. So, yeah.
Well said, lad.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. I don't really know where to steer this conversation. I feel like we've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
But is there anything that we haven't covered? Anything that people want to ask? Anything you want to bring up?
I think I just want to say to anyone who listens to this, please do not suffer in silence. Please. There is help out there. You may feel hopeless, worthless, but please have hope. You know, get in touch with the Jade Roberts Project and you will get hope when you come into the project. There's too many people suffering in silence. And I truly believe, whether it be suicide prevention or mental health, that when you get the right support, you'll feel valued. You know, very quickly, I remember another male client who came into the project when we first opened. And I'll never forget him, what he said to me. He said, you know what, Tracey, I've been to so many organisations. They never got me. They didn't get me, Tracey. And I felt worse. He said, but when I came in here, you got me. He was just one of the lads. He said, you got me, Tracey. He's no longer in the project because he's had the support that he needed from the project. You know, because it's about, because people do feel let down, you know. I'm going to be honest, they're let down by the system. It's important that I say that.
Yeah.
1, 2, Paul. They're let down by the system. And that's why they feel like no one cares. But I promise you now that when you come into the Jade Roberts Project, we will care. And that you're important to us. Really important.
Well said. I feel like we do need more. It's not even more organisations like Jade Roberts. I feel like we just need more of the Jade Roberts Project.
Definitely.
You just need to expand.
Yeah.
Hurry up and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
Everyone says that.
Yeah.
We definitely need more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Do you have any questions, or Jack, do you have anything that you want to add?
I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
No,
But it's one.
been
Yeah.
really good, you know.
Yeah.
We have covered quite a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
Part 2 will come next week.
Yeah.
Part two.
Yeah.
Part two.
Yeah. Because obviously you don't want to prolong the conversation or anything. You don't want to drag it out to lose
I
its
think
meaning.
There's so much that we've talked about.
Yeah. But Trace, I'm so happy that you came on. You know, I'm so proud of how you've handled yourself, and I'm proud of the support that you've given as well. Like even being here, but also like the way you've jumped in conversations and that. It's been really, really good.
It's been amazing.
It has. It's been really good.
It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Also, as well, one last thing I want to add to it is a lot of the lads here are saying about how the way I look at my mum and support her. Remember, you only get one mum, so always treat her with love and respect. You know, a lot of lads nowadays can be very cheeky and nasty to their mum, but if it weren't for her, you wouldn't be here. So make sure you've only got one. Be nice, kind and considerate, and always big her up, because she's the only woman you're going to ever love other than a girlfriend or a wife. She's your first love. That's my mum there.
Oh, dear, Jack.
Get another tissue. Yeah. But no, seriously, thank you both for coming today. And like you said, I know.
Honestly, he's amazing, you know.
I know. He's definitely 30. I'm not having it.
Sorry, I'm crying again. He's definitely 30.
He is definitely 30. And the reason why all the men and women come out smiling after he spoke to you, because they fancy him. Yeah, but no, this was absolutely perfect. It was a perfect episode. So
I want to thank you as well. And the team.
Yeah,
I want to thank the team here.
Jay and Joe.
Jay and Joe for being
Jack,
here
Jay and Joe.
today.
Jay. Yeah.
You've been amazing. You've made me laugh. I've obviously been quite emotional, but you've made me laugh as well. And lovely guys, and I really, really hope to see you again.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Thank you as well.
No. Until next time.
Okay.
Until next time. Go ahead, Joe.
That was a good